Something expensive is happening to you right now, and most people won't recognize it until it's already too late. Not the number on the gas station sign, that's just the surface. Underneath it, 4 more waves of financial pressure are already in motion, arriving on different timelines, each one larger than the last. By the time the average person connects them, the damage will be done. What you're about to hear isn't just an economic story. It's a story about why your own mind will actively prevent you from seeing what's coming. The first wave, you can already feel fuel costs. When the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow channel carrying a fifth of the world's oil supply, was effectively shut down, crude prices surged more than 50% in under 3 weeks. Your brain processes that number at the pump as an inconvenience. Annoying, but survivable. So it moves on. That's the first mistake. Psychologists describe a cognitive pattern called mental accounting, the unconscious habit of sorting money into invisible mental buckets, like fuel, food, entertainment, and savings. When one bucket suddenly overflows, we don't calmly redistribute. We slash what feels optional. The dinner out disappears. The gym membership vanishes. The investment contribution quietly stays frozen. And while you're focused on fuel, the second wave is already landing groceries, specifically perishables, produce, meat, and dairy. Items that can't sit in a warehouse waiting for prices to stabilize. The same diesel fueling the price surge at the pump also powers every refrigerated truck that keeps those items moving. Retail margins are already razor thin from absorbing earlier cost shocks. There's almost nothing left to cushion a second hit. When businesses stop absorbing, price tags catch up fast. The third wave won't arrive for months, but it's already locked in. Fossil fuels account for up to 80% of fertilizer production costs, and several of the world's largest fertilizer producers sit directly within the disrupted region. The food you eat in autumn is becoming more expensive right now. Because of inputs farmers are paying a premium for today. You won't feel this wave until fall. By then, most people will have forgotten where it started. Wave 4 is airfare. Jet fuel has surged dramatically since the disruption began. And airlines don't price dynamically the way gas stations do. They bake fuel costs into their models months in advance. Those higher fares are already priced in. And they won't come back down quickly even if oil does. Wave 5 is the one almost no one has connected: interest rates. Expectations of rate cuts this year are effectively gone. If inflation accelerates further, rates may rise. That means the mortgage you were planning, the car loan you were calculating. The math has shifted beneath you without anyone announcing it. When inflation shocks collide with geopolitical instability, consumers don't just reduce spending. They freeze entirely, delaying homes, cars, and renovations. Not because they can't afford them today, but because they've lost confidence in what they can afford tomorrow. When millions of households freeze simultaneously, that collective pause can pull an entire economy down with it. Here's the psychology behind why most people won't act until it's too late. Behavioral scientists call it anchoring bias, the tendency to grab the most visible data point in a complex situation and treat it as the whole picture. Right now, for most people, that anchor is the number at the pump. And because that number feels survivable, the entire crisis gets filed internally as temporary inconvenience. This same cognitive failure played out after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Prices spiked, people adapted to the gas cost, and then the shock quietly bled into groceries, rent, and services, until annual inflation crested at 9%. By the time the full picture was visible, the purchasing power was already gone. This isn't irrationality. It's ancient mental software running in a modern financial system. Recognizing that software is what allows you to override it. The research on past economic disruptions 1973, 2008, 2020 reveals a consistent pattern. The households that came through strongest were not the wealthiest. They were the ones who adjusted earliest. Here's what that looks like in practice. Do not panic sell your investments. Studies spanning dozens of geopolitical crises show that the average market loss during conflict periods is modest, often less than 1% over the first month, followed by meaningful recovery within 6 months. The people who sold locked in real losses. The people who held captured the rebound. Loss aversion, the psychological phenomenon, where losing feels twice as painful as gaining feels good, is the exact bias that makes selling feel rational, when it is, in fact, catastrophic. Build or reinforce your emergency fund. 6 to 12 months of accessible reserves. Doesn't just protect your finances, it protects your decision-making. People with financial runway don't panic, and calm people don't make expensive mistakes. Think of an emergency fund, less as savings and more as insurance against your own fear response. Audit your spending before the remaining waves arrive. If you wait until all 5 shocks have landed to adjust, you'll be reacting instead of preparing. Trim discretionary spending now and redirect those dollars towards stability. If you invest on a regular schedule, keep going. The volatility that feels threatening is quietly lowering your average cost per share, a mechanism behavioral economists call dollar cost averaging. It works precisely because of the chaos, not in spite of it. The difference between people who emerge from economic disruption stronger and those who don't has almost nothing to do with what happened. It has everything to do with what they did while it was happening. The moves that matter aren't dramatic. They're quiet, unglamorous, and easy to dismiss, until you look back 6 months later and realize they created an enormous gap. Your window to act proactively is open right now. The anxiety you're feeling isn't the enemy. It's the signal. It means you're paying attention. The mistake isn't feeling the fear. The mistake is letting the fear make the decisions. So review your budget. Check your emergency fund. Keep your investments moving. Do those things first and then step away from the financial news cycle. You've already done what most people won't. If this reframed how you're thinking about the months ahead, consider subscribing. The next wave is already forming, and the people watching this channel will see it before it arrives. If this video added something useful to your thinking, a like takes 1 second and helps this reach someone who needs it. Stay sharp. Stay ahead.